where does meditation fit in Buddhism? What is meditation? What is Vipassana? What is Samatha? How do we practice as lay people? Do we need what is jhana? Do we need to attain jhana? What is our aim as a Buddhist in this life? Right? So these are some of the main points I will deal with. Okay? Those of you who have attended my talks before, you will notice there are certain key points I will repeat because people forget. We forget, right? Because there's so many things to learn in Buddhism. But the basic ideas are always there. It is very important to remember why we are Buddhists. If someone asks you, why are you Buddhist? There are many ways of answering it. I think the simplest way I like to answer from what I see around here, especially in Singapore, and this answer makes a lot of sense in Singapore. Why am I a Buddhist? I want to be truly happy. A Buddhist is someone who's truly happy. I think that's a very good answer for a lot of people. Why do a lot of unhappy people in Singapore? I mean, you have a lot of money, you have a lot of property, a lot of worries also, right? So the idea now is how to be happy. Whether you have something or you don't have anything, you can still be happy. Why did the Buddha teach renunciation, monkhood, and so on? Because the world lives by having things. We have this, we have that. And because of that, we need the precepts. First training. Yeah? The first training, moral virtue, is to remind us the place of having. I have this, I have that, I have life, I have property, I have a body. And then after that, the precepts become a bit deeper. The idea of truth, the fourth precept, yeah? All this must be true. So the idea of having things, you got it truly, correctly, through right speech. And all these things promote your mental health. So that's one way of looking at the five precepts. But what we have can be lost by the very fact of the word have. I have something. That means that the thing is external to you. That means you can lose it. Impermanence. Then the second training of the mind, meditation, we're coming closer to the topic today now, is what I am. I am happy. When I meditate, I am happy. Of course, you can say I have happiness, but it's more meaningful to say I am happy because you can't separate the two. Happy and yourself, you feel it. All your five senses feel the joy. And then the two combined leads to wisdom. Wisdom is the knowledge that frees us, that totally stops suffering from coming to us on a mental level. Why I say mental level is because even Buddhas, Arahats still suffer on the bodily level. Because you have a body, you feel pain, but they are not troubled by the pain the way we are troubled. So wisdom clears away our suffering for good, mental suffering. So to be happy means to have enough. Whatever we have, we feel is enough. Contentment is the greatest wealth. Beautiful verse from that line from Dhammapada. Santuti Parama Dhanan, wealth. Why is contentment the greatest wealth? Because you know when to stop when you enjoy something. That's what the precepts are about. Precepts tell us to remember when to stop. Why is it important to know when to stop? Then whatever you are eating or drinking or what you have, you know the value of it. You know when to stop. You don't know when to stop. You go on looking for it. You have no time to enjoy it. You won't be happy. So to be contented, to be happy, means we learn to enjoy what we have. If you enjoy what you have, you're truly happy. So as Buddhists, number one, we are trying to enjoy life. First precept. Number two, we are learning to enjoy what we have, our property. Number three, we enjoy our body, meaning good health. We enjoy truth, listening to the Dharma, communicating wholesomely to each other. And we enjoy a clear, peaceful mind. Fifth precept. And the way to be happy, the best way, direct way, is of course meditation, second training. Right? The Tisika, Sila, Sika, Samadhi Sika, Panya Sika. What I like giving talks here, I can use Pali words, everybody knows these words. Huh? So Samadhi Sikha. Now, Samadhi translates as concentration. Oh, nowadays Buddhism has advanced so far. You go to the internet, people are already arguing, discussing the exact definition of Samadhi and so on. It is better than waging holy wars anyway. But the point is, if you are going to meditate, you should not worry too much about such things. It's okay to discuss online, even emails or write papers, you know. Well, Samadhi, I'm fine with the word concentration. In fact, for me, any way people translate is fine. I'll ask the translator, what do you mean by this? And then the translator will tell you, okay, this is what I mean. And it's very important. You get different speakers coming here, sitting here, talking to you. Each of them will define Samadhi, Vipassana different way. So you've got to listen carefully to how these speakers, teachers define whatever they are talking about and try to understand it from that. There's no ultimate definition of terms. The ultimate definition is silence. So you've got to ask the speaker, what do you mean by this? And from there you try to understand. So let's provisional take Samadhi. That's another reason why we use Pali words, by the way. Because Pali, original scripture, so it's easier to use Samadhi. And you can translate as concentration. Some people say, oh, it's more like mental stillness. And sometimes you can translate as meditation also. For example, in Thailand, you will say Nang Samadhi. Nang is to sit, Samadhi is to meditate. So they use the word Samadhi simply to mean meditate. So if you take Samadhi in the sense of the second training, it refers to meditation. It refers to the middle part of the Eightfold Path. And then you have wisdom, right? Liberating wisdom. So what we're talking about today deals with the second aspect of Buddhist training, meditation. The meditation also has a broad meaning. There are two very important aspects of meditation which we must know as lay people. One is the meditation that leads to total liberation, to arhathood. And that's the kind of samadhi or meditation that the monks and nuns, the renunciants, understand. That's the kind of vision they're supposed to have. When you renounce the world, your goal should be, ideally, get awakened in this life. And meditation is very important. Attaining jhanas is very important. In other words, this approach, you either become a non-returner or arhat, and you need jhana. Now, in the case of people like us, we keep the 5 precepts, and there's the reason why the Buddha gave us the 5 precepts. The 5 precepts talk about enjoying sensual pleasures within proper, healthy limits. It does not mean no sensual pleasures at all. We're not monks, we're not nuns. Meaningful sensual pleasures. Sensual pleasures means enjoying what you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, within limits. Within the limits of the 5 precepts. So that's the second kind of meditation. For lay people who live in the world, have families, run businesses, and so on. You can still be enlightened. You can awaken in this life if you constantly reflect on the true nature of life. In simple terms, the impermanence of everything. If you make a lot of money, you know this is impermanent. If you lose the money, you say, well, it's okay, I'm happy, I use it well, and I share with a lot of people. So either way, you're happy. Which way the 8 winds blow, the local dharmas blow, you are happy. Right? Then you're a true practitioner. So this is where meditation is mindfulness. This is the meaning for most of us. Many people who come for beginners meditation class, they don't go there to become arahats. I don't know, how many of you here plan to be arahat in this life? Anyone? I've never met a layman who says, I want to be an arahat in this life. It would be really noble. But definitely, you can become at least 3 minutes in this life if you want. I've spoken about this every time I talk here. So this is mindfulness. Mindfulness of daily life, the simple practice is perception of impermanence. Okay? So now where does Samatha and Vipassanā comes in? This is where we go a little deeper. Even as lay people, when you meditate, you find you can get some level of calmness. Especially the right environment. Even this place, you know, you close this place up, aircon, you have created a bit of Buddha Gaya here. No need to go to India, you know. You know, in the Vajragota Sutta, I think, Sundarika, the Brahmin Sundarika, who was washing beside this holy river. He asked the Buddha, have you gone to this river and wash yourself clean? You can wash away all your sins and evils, you know. The Buddha told him, you know, if that can happen, the turtles and fishes will be pure. He says that if your mind is pure, wherever there's water, wherever there's a well, that is Gaya, that is Buddha Gaya. That's the river, sacred river there. If your body and mind are pure, every day is a holy day, not just the 1st and 15th. So, every time you keep a precept, that is a holy day. So, by that same argument, wherever you are gathered in the name of the three jewels, is a holy place. This is a holy place. So you close this place up, very peaceful, you meditate, you attain levels of calmness. That is a simple definition of samatha. Samatha means mental calmness. Now how do you become really, what is it that's preventing us from becoming mentally calm? They are called the mental hindrances. Mental hindrances. The first is the most important one. The first mental hindrance, sensual pleasures. When we sit, we feel, oh, not comfortable, the floor is hard, or you think about your home, right? You think about comfort, first distraction. So you've got to let go of that. The second distraction is ill will. Okay? So here, what does this mean? When you sit quietly, why do we sit quietly? Why do we sit cross-legged? All these are mentioned in Anapanasati Sutta, Satipatthana Sutta, major meditation suttas. They tell you how to sit. Sitting cross-legged, body upright, palms together, mindfulness before you. The meaning is to sit in the most comfortable way. And in ancient India, for the renunciants, that's the most comfortable way. Sitting cross-legged, you've got a balance, and then you sit very still. Why? So that you can forget about the body for a while. Why do we have to forget about the body? We do not want to be distracted by eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body. These are defined as the world. This is our world of the five senses. We just want to forget about these five senses for a while. Why? Because there are like 5 phones ringing, you've got to answer them, very stressful. We just want to forget about them. 6 days a week, 5 days a week, we are doing that. So now on this holy day like today, we just want to sit here and be happy. Forget about the body for a while. Renounce the body. We also can practice renunciation. In meditation, first we renounce the body. And there's a purpose behind this renunciation. We can attain mental calm. Body cultivation means keeping the precepts. Bhavita kaya, that's the Pali word. Bhavita kaya, cultivated body, that means your body is restrained, calm, peaceful. Restrained by the precepts and by the way you are sitting in meditation. You can also sit on a chair if you like. And then, once the body is calm, you don't have to think about it anymore. You can focus directly on the mind, the real center of all our issues and problems, our view of life. The source of happiness and sadness is the mind. We look directly into the mind. What do you see when you look into the mind? You see thoughts. You see feelings. See here, you've got the comma, see meaning experience. In English, we like to say see. In Pali, we usually say feel. Pati sangvedeti. Pati sangvedeti. Pati sangvedeti comes from the root word ved, with, V-I-D, with meaning is to know. So to feel means to know. We know the world. Experience it, sometimes considered as experience. So you notice, first of all, there are thoughts when you meditate. Thoughts are the worst enemy of meditation. Why? Because thoughts is a medium. It's not the real thing. We use words, we use language. For example, if I say, I saw a beautiful sunset today, and I distract you, wow, the glow very nice, like this, yellow, of this hue, and then very peaceful, you still don't experience the sunset. I can use any words, like the most beautiful words. I can use music also. Or maybe I can show you a very nice picture of it. It's still not a real sunset. You got to be there. Got to experience it. So this is the shortcoming of thoughts. In fact, we can, to the long story short, we can say thoughts are the worst enemies of meditation. Because when you think, your mind wanders off. And then the mind collects more and more thoughts. In the end, your mind full of thoughts, you can't meditate already. So we want to clear away those thoughts. How do we do that? In many ways. So one way, for example, use the breath, very famous. Breath, loving kindness is another one. And then you can use walking meditation, the over 40 different methods. So when you meditate in this way, what is happening is you are letting go of all the hindrances. Letting go, letting go. The word letting go, pati nisaga, is very similar, sometimes a synonym of nekama, renunciation, letting go. So you don't have to be a monk or a nun to let go. When you sit and meditate, you are effectively a monk or a nun if you really try hard, because you are keeping all the precepts. The monk also got to meditate the same way as you. So there's no difference in awakening, the Buddha says. So here, once the mind is clear of thoughts, then you might notice joy arising. Now here we come to a bit of issue here. Joy arises. Some meditators, modern meditators, say, oh, this joy, don't get attached to it, okay? In fact, you don't need the joy. You just do Vipassana only, good enough. There's some people talk like that, not many, some. But if you talk like that, I don't think you can really get good concentration, or even if you do get concentration, you might not be happy. You might not be happy. Now, one thing I want you to test for yourself, when you sit peacefully, and if I tell you, smile in your heart, right now, can you do that? Smile in your heart. Now, if you can do that, how do you feel if you smile in your heart? Can anyone say something? Do you feel good?
Yes.
Feel good. How many of you can't smile in your heart? Anyone here? Put up your hands. No, I asked this because a friend yesterday said he couldn't do it. I was surprised, you know. He said he couldn't smile in his heart. I said, it's very strange. I said, go back and practice. You know, this is one of the secrets in how to improve your meditation. Learn to smile in your heart. You try that next time, you'll get stuck in your meditation. Next time a hindrance arises, next time some thoughts come and disturb you in your meditation. Some unwelcome desires arise in your mind. Try this. Smile. Smile with loving kindness. Focus on the smile. It's a big event when you smile in your meditation. And if you focus on it, you find the other things drop off gently, and then continue with your practice. So this is one of those quite big arguments. They say you don't. Joy is not important. In fact, joy is bad. You get attached to it. I've asked a lot of monks on this point. So the first monks say this, and they say, well, you should not be afraid of joy for two reasons. Number one, the Buddha himself in the Arya Pariyesana Sutta, for example, he was talking, after he has done, you know, he's tortured himself for 6-7 years, he found it didn't work, he almost died in fact. Then he decided to, he remembered he did breath meditation as a child. And he remembered he attained first jhana as a child, 7 years old. Yeah, the 7-year-old child attaining jhana is another interesting point you must remember, you know, that meditation is safe for children also. With proper guidance, by the way. Don't go back and force the children to sit for hours. With proper guidance, all right? They can't sit very long. But Siddhartha was different. He has been spending many lives building up his paramis, his perfection. You know? So the 7-year-old child is a child prodigy. So he remembered that moment of great joy. Then he realized, he says, and these are very important words for us to remember, there is a kind of joy you must not be afraid of. This joy helps us in our meditation. This is not a worldly joy. This is not sensual pleasure. This is a higher pleasure, spiritual pleasure, if you like. Niramisa sukha, spiritual pleasure. This is the pleasure that makes you so happy, you just go on meditating. You just go on meditating. And when you come out of it, you feel so happy, you have so much energy to do things. You find Buddhism meaningful, you just have all that energy to do good. So this joy helps us in our meditation. This kind of joy is okay. So this is the first reason. Now, the other reason is that when you get this joy, you reflect on the impermanence of it. When you come out of the meditation, you reflect, it is also impermanent. Then your mind becomes clearer. And that's, when your mind is clear, what does it mean? What do you see? You see true reality. You know, this word true reality is very meaningful today. Why? Because there is virtual reality. If you have teenage children, you know, when they're teenagers, you really have to, you know, stop them from being lost in virtual reality, computer games, virtual reality. There are lots of virtual reality going on nowadays, right? So, true reality meaning see directly into the true nature of things. When you meet someone, when we meet people, especially when you come, even when you come to temple, we all create a virtual reality among ourselves. We look happy. We try to look happy. And that is good, definitely, rather than you try to look bad. You know? But the problem is this, if you, all the time you look like that, and people do not know your problems, then they won't talk to you, they won't help you. So then again, you can't, you know, show your true reality to everybody because not everybody can handle it. Not everybody have the compassion. So to reverse this problem, we should be wise. If you have insight, and I'm using the word insight in a very simple, very basic level here. You insight, sight into people. You look at people, you say, I know you're smiling, you know, but I sense that something is troubling you inside. If you like to talk about it, you know, I'm ready to hear. That'd be wonderful. You know, people come to the temple and there are people who listen to them, and that'd be really great. And there's a way of listening, of course. Listen wisely, or just listen, and you don't have to say anything. You just say, well, good, just listen, say yes, no, good, you know, 3 words enough, right? And then this person goes back very happy. Somebody listened. So this aspect, you look at people, knowing how to respond to them is a very important aspect of a successful temple. So on the deeper level, when the mind is calm, you see deeper into reality. You see the rise and fall of things. And this is a very common definition of insight to Vipassana. Rise and fall of things. Master Sayadaw likes to use this. I spent about 2 whole months doing a retreat Master Sayadaw when I was in Holland. We spent the period in the geodesic tent in the northern part of the country, very cold, beside the North Sea. A very nice meditation, small group. And then I learned forest meditation, Ajahn Chah's method. So these two, wonderful combination. So the Master Sayadaw and the Vipassana meditators, they like to talk about rise and fall. So this is a very important aspect of Vipassana theory. When you do breath meditation, for example, when you become very peaceful, you begin to notice the breath coming in, going out. But as you focus deeper on the breath, you begin to see that the breath begins, and then there's the middle part, and then the breath ends. Each breath, in-breath, in, and then out, like that. The 3 aspects. But this one you got to go quite deep, a little more focus. Not difficult, but you got to be more focused. And you can't get this, say, within the first 5 minutes. You've got to be at least 5-10 minutes of that if you are focused. No? And it's very peaceful when you notice the rise and fall of the breath. Next thing you notice is there are also gaps, spaces between the breath. Nothing there, but very peaceful. Very joyful. So if you look at the breath, very interesting, you see both Samatha and Vipassanā there. When you notice the spaces within your breath, you feel very peaceful. That is Samatha. Then you notice the rise and fall of the breath, and then the thought comes to you, say, wow, even my breath is also impermanent. That is Vipassana. So it's a very simple way of understanding the 2 different terms, Samatha and Vipassanā. Samatha gives you calmness, inner peace. Vipassana gives you some insight into life. All right? So if you look at the suttas, they are not separate meditation methods. They are aspects of meditation you have to deal with. Okay? So now one reason I don't use the paper is because I'm speaking from my own experience. Because the paper is there, you can go back and read yourself, right? So I'm speaking from what I myself have known, so it's easier to speak that way. But there are some points that are very useful to know in your notes. So what do these two meditation do for us? Samatha and Vipassana. When you practice samatha, your mind is very calm. So desires go away. If you practice Vipassana more carefully, you focus on the Vipassana aspect, wisdom arises. In other words, we are talking about emotional aspect of our life and intellectual aspect of our life. Both, you need both. See, it's very clear here, you cannot separate the meditation. You need both. You need emotional aspect, intellectual aspect. In fact, speaking more broadly from meeting various people, cases coming for counseling at our center, I would say in Singapore, a lot of people here are not emotionally well adjusted. They are simply too busy. And we don't spend enough time training our children to be emotionally adjusted so they can grow up having lots of difficulties. So this is where coming to a Buddhist center, learning Buddhism is a very good way of adjusting ourselves emotionally, especially learning loving kindness meditation. So you need both samatha to help cut down, transform our craving into positive energy. We need vipassana for us to see the true nature of life and be wise in our actions. So both aspects are very important to us. In fact, the connection between the two is so important. You'll find there's a very famous saying in the Dhammapada. The person who is without wisdom cannot be calm. The person who is not calm cannot be wise. You need both. Sometimes the word wisdom is used instead of vipassana. Calmness and wisdom are like the two wings of a bird. When the bird flies, you need both wings. So you see again there, the twin practice, you need both. You need to cultivate both. Now, I'm going to stop in a while so you can ask more questions. I feel there will be a better way. But before that, let's look at some of these sayings. I don't know whether it's in your notes or not. The famous Dhammapada verse. You found the Dhammapada verse?
Is it reading in account?
No, this one. Okay. Page 20. Can you see the section 2424? Do you have that? 2424? Is it in your notes or not? If you don't have, I'll read it to you. Oh, don't have, never mind. Alright, this is the Pali word. It says, Nati Jana Apanyasa. 424. You can see there in VH372. I'll read the Pali words first. Nati Jana Apanyasa Panya Nati Ajayato. Yamki Janancha Panyacha Save Nibbana Santike. In English, there is no concentration for those lacking wisdom. There is no wisdom for those lacking concentration. Or in simple language, no samatha without vipassana, no vipassana without samatha. Right? In whom there is both concentration and wisdom, he is indeed in the presence of nirvana. That means on the way to become a victim. So you can see there, the two are closely related. Another thing you should remember is when we talk about samatha or vipassana, they are in the which training? Second training, right? Samadhi Sikha. Vipassana is also in Samadhi Sikha, not in Panya Sikha. It's very interesting to remember. Okay, this is a bit technical, okay? If you don't understand what I'm talking about, never mind. The point here is both Samatha and Vipassana deals with meditation. deal with your practice. From my experience, I would say if someone is highly intellectual, he needs to develop samatha aspect. If someone is by nature very calm, doesn't like to think much, very happy, make friends with everybody, he needs to cultivate a bit of vipassana more to balance up the personality. So one reason I discovered after 30 years of practicing, also teaching people, breath and loving kindness are really good meditation. These are the two basic ones we must know. Why? Because when you meditate, you'll find one of these easier, the other one more difficult. Or some people will say one of them make the person more sleepy, the other one make the person more active. And this is very important to notice, you know. There's nothing good or bad about this. For example, let's say you do breath meditation, it makes you active, you know, and then you say you can't sleep, you know. And a number of people report that to me. They say before they go to bed, they do breath meditation, then they can't sleep. I say, no, that's not the problem. The problem is the timing. So next time, you don't do it before going to sleep. You do it earlier. Do it by waking up. That's the better time. Do it the moment you wake up. I don't know how many of you here, no need to tell me. You find you have difficulty getting up in the morning. Eyes open, but mind still sleeping. So, you get into breath meditation mode. And you find you freshen yourself up. On the other hand, someone does loving kindness, good sleep. Well, the Buddha already mentioned this. Sukhang supati, remember? Sleep happily, loving kindness. Sukhina. Okay? So, you must understand which meditation you need more. If you find loving kindness more difficult, it's not a bad meditation. It's not that there's something wrong with you. No, it just means that the social aspect of you needs strengthening. The loving kindness, the heart aspect needs strengthening. So do your breath, and then at the end of it, if you're very peaceful, do a bit of loving kindness, even a few lines. Now, I'm not exaggerating here, you know, because in the first part of the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha says a number of suttas, you know, there's one called, it's called the Cow Teeth Sutta. Very interesting, eh? The Buddha says, if you do loving kindness for even a short moment that a milkman pulls the cow's udder and the milk comes out, just 1 second, you know, you have done my practice already. You have followed my instructions already. What the Buddha is saying, you just need to say, you know, may you all be well and happy. That's already more than the time it takes to milk a cow. You have done my teaching, you have practiced my teaching. In other words, don't neglect it. If you neglect it, the cost, emotional cost, will be very high. You go and see a psychiatrist, you pay $700 per session. You go for meditation class, sometimes free. You give donation, not much. So it's very important you learn all these things. And if somebody like loving kindness, they're a happy, friendly kind of person, they can't focus. They need breath meditation. So build up your loving kindness. When you feel very happy, remain there, enjoy the peace, and then go on to breath for a while. You need to balance both, like the two wings of the bird. Remember this, yeah? Okay, I'm going to stop for a while because I want to get your questions. Questions? Yeah? We're passing around the line.
I just want to ask you this question here. On page 4, the notes here, you say with the attainment of first dhyana.
Give me the number of the section.
Page 4.
My paging is different. What's the number? Paragraph number?
3.21, liberation of mind, samatha, 3.2. Under 3.2, you have
Yes. Yeah, okay.
Second paragraph.
Yes.
With the attainment of first dhyana, our mind is freed from mental hindrances, especially from sensual lust.
Yes.
I want to understand this first dhyana. Has it got to do with the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana,
Yes,
fifth jhana?
correct, yeah. This is the English word.
Okay.
Jhana is a Pali word.
Pali word. Okay, so this first dhyana, if we learn in the Abhidhamma, usually it says that you curb the Tinamida, the slope and topper. It's only when we achieve to the highest level, then we can curb our Kamaraga.
Okay.
In just this sense here, I just want some clarification. It says that you can curb your sensual lust.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is true. Sensual lust is very difficult to overcome. Here we're talking about temporary. Yeah, because for example, all of us are sitting here peacefully listening to a Dhamma talk. I'm sure, or I would say 99%, 100%, nobody here has got sensual lust right now. We don't have that thought, you know. But once we move out of here, I don't know. Yeah? So it's not that difficult. But you go into jhana, it's even more easy. But then again, it's not sustained. Okay?
So your here first dhyana here means the application of the thought, right? So when I apply my thought to what you're saying, what you're listening, I actually shut off all my other senses that come in.
That's one way. There are different ways these negative emotions are pushed away. So this is it's called by displacement, to use a modern term. These are Pali term. It's called Tadaramana in many of these Abhidhamma terms. So now, the idea here is it's a temporary kind of displacement. But if you do this regularly, then you're creating very good habitual karma, where your mind does not habituate in terms of sensual pleasures. You find some people, somehow they don't have the kind of desire. I mean, they may have it, but somehow it doesn't get the better of them. So this habitual karma is very important. So when you regularly reflect impermanence, for example, so when sexual pleasure arises, you say, oh, it's impermanent, why should I attend to it? Or when you get something nice, you say, it's impermanent, why should I be too attached to it? Then you find it makes sense. Then you are no more pursuing it. So this is it's a non-technical way of understanding jhanas. Alright? I think what you mentioned just now, you're talking about in terms of attainment of the same good. Yes, only the non-returner and the arhat totally uproots sensual pleasure. Yes, that is definitely correct. But here, even amongst us, as worldly people, we can temporarily overcome. So in that sense, it is a very healthy practice. In fact, you know, now these Western psychologists, they are studying all these things. They're using all these ideas to heal people. And they're charging them by hundreds of US dollars. You know, they're not donating anything back to Buddhism. They copyright it themselves, you know. That's why we got to practice this ourselves. In fact, I read a paper recently, this person called Sam Harris, I don't know how many of you have heard of him, Sam Harris. He wrote a series of books, you know, all this about, you know, anti-God ideas and atheists. I think he's influenced by Buddhism, he might even be practicing Buddhism. He says that if the Buddha discovered the truth, let's say impermanence, even awakening, you know, if that truth is universal, you can't call it Buddhist anymore. For example, truth, you know. Is truth Buddhist, Christian, Hindu? Buddhist, I mean, truth got no religion, you know, right? But his argument is that, in that case, why can't we make the Buddhist practice like that so that it's scientific, you know? It's just like, for example, you know, we know Isaac Newton and company, they're all Christians those days. They started this mechanics, the classical physics. So actually, the Christians started classical physics. But if anybody today who talk of physics that way, they obviously do not know physics at all. We never link physics with religion now, but that's how it started. Algebra, even more clear, that the Muslims started algebra. But we never talk of Muslim algebra, only historically. So what Sankara is saying is, although the roots of this of science go back to religion, nobody talk about it that way because the truth is so universal. So he's arguing that why can't we treat the truth of Buddhism that way? So meditation, he's talking special about meditation. So he says, why can't we have contemplative science? Very nice name. So in other words, in the future, you know, you find your children, your grandchildren probably won't go to temple anymore. They'll go to some meditation center somewhere run by some contemplative scientists with machines and things everywhere. So you don't need to be religious to meditate anymore. But I think there's an issue there. While it is possible to measure meditation, It's very different when you actually do it in the Buddhist way, because morality is very important, moral virtue. So there are a lot of other issues involved. But I definitely would support such a move. If the scientists support, that's great, you know. But you need both. You need both. They need to help each other. Okay? All right, next question.
I'm very glad you mentioned this because actually there's so much work being done by people like Mark William, John Kabat-Zinn, and I'm sure you've read about them.
Yes.
These people actually they talk about meditation in daily life, how meditation helps in coping, you know, with problems, with even clarity of thought. So
Yes.
Should that be the focus, or should that be more broadcast as opposed to the concept of jhana, where it sounds a bit esoteric, and
Yes.
and you find that, you know, not many people can really achieve that. So in the short run, in the meantime, right?
Yes.
You find that if you do start the practice, there are many tangible benefits which can be achieved. I mean, without having to go into this idea of
Yes,
jhana.
very true. I suspect that will be the future trend, you know, as we become more westernized. You can't help it. It's going. I mean, if the scientists really want to promote all these things with their instruments, and the hospitals apply all these things, so one day you go to the clinic and then you say you're very worried, you can't sleep, then the doctor says, you know, you don't need any medicine, you know. I'll put you on an appointment for the contemplative clinic. You don't have to go to...
Which is what they're doing, from what I read in this Dr. Mark Williams, he's doing this in
yeah, they're already doing this in the West.
What's the difference in that case with hypnotism? Also put you to sleep and calming your mind?
Hypnotism is something else. This one is you're consciously doing it. Hypnotism, you're not conscious of it, not directly anyway. The hypnotherapist will tell you a lot of things. You must allow it to happen. You cannot. I cannot, for example, wave my hand, hypnotize you. It's not mandrake thing, doesn't work.
So between the meditation and hypnosis, somebody drawn you to your consciousness. But for meditation, is you are aware of your own consciousness.
Yes,
That's the difference.
you do it yourself. That is the why it's good, because you are in charge. The question is, do we need Buddhism anymore after that? I would say you still need Buddhism, because the old method is still, for me, the best method. Because, why? We have the vocabulary. Of course, yes, not many people can attain jhanas, but what if they do? If they do, the traditional texts have got all the description, so that we can understand what's going on. This happened to the Christians, you know, the mystics. They are very contemplative people, and then they found, wow, they got to very deep meditation, nothing mentioned in the Bible. They got terrified, they got very scared, you know. They thought that God has abandoned them. They suddenly felt all alone. They call it the dark night of the soul. Because they don't know any other words, so they just use their own terms.
So they say Satan has come into them.
Well, in this case, no, there's no mention. It's all very positive. This is the record of St. John the Baptist, St. John of the Cross. Okay? And he couldn't explain what's going on. All that he could was write exactly what he experienced. It's a beautiful work, you know. Until the Buddhists read it. The Buddhists said, wow, hey, this is jhana, you know. You see the problem here now? The St. John the Baptist never had the vocabulary. He doesn't know how to describe what happened. And the other one, St. John of the Cross, you know. And the other person is Teresa of Avila. She also went into ecstasy. They don't have the vocabulary. So in other words, I would say, yes, jhana is not for everybody, but the terminology are there in the sutras. So it will help people who go deep into it. Yeah, beyond the contemplative science, so to speak. Yeah.
So it's a form of a byproduct of what you do.
You mean contemplative science? No, I wouldn't say byproduct. I would say it's the cause that the Buddha taught for the arahants. Okay? The byproduct would be contemplative science. I would say contemplative science would be the service that Buddhism has provided the world at large, non-religiously, and that's wonderful. Whereas for people who are more serious, a few, not many, but a few, then the jhanas will be useful for them. So it's a win-win situation. But I'm not saying everybody must do jhana. No, I'm not saying that. Okay?
Brother Piya,
Yeah.
then the point is actually we should be reaching out to the masses. You see, I mean,
True. Yeah.
there will be a few from the masses that will go on further. I mean,
Yes.
they can achieve higher levels.
Yeah.
But for the majority of the people, I mean, I was just reading just a couple of days ago. You know, meditation helps in the forex trader. He can be more focused.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just one aspect. I mean, you can be more focused in your whole life. I mean, whatever you're doing.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. Something developed, a new development in our modern society. But remember, what was the purpose of the Dharma when the Buddha taught it? You must never forget that. What purpose did the Buddha have when he taught all these things to us? It was for us to get out of the world, of the suffering world, of all these difficulties. Now, I have taught meditation to all these foreign exchange people, stock exchange people. And I can tell you, they are the most difficult people to teach meditation. They can't meditate at all. Maybe in my case, I really got one of those very serious traders, you know, a very successful person. I had to go to the house because he has no time to come to the center. So I went to the house and sit down. Okay, very nice. In fact, he was an Indian. You know? So I said, okay, we start off doing simple counting. In, out, one, in, out, two, and so on. And I said, can you do it? He looked at me and says, I don't know how to do it. I told myself, wow. I mean, counting is the easiest thing, you know. He couldn't even do that. I had to really go very slow with him. Because he says his mind is full of thoughts. Then I realized I got to talk to him first before he does any meditation. So I told him, I said, look, I think before you meditate, you've got to forget about your stock and shares. You've got to forget about your numbers. Because if you don't, you might have no more life to spend on this money. You just got to take a break. Because it says, every time the price goes down, his heart also goes down. So if his heartbeat goes according to the stock and shares thing, you know. So, yes, in a sense, they need the meditation, definitely. So that's an extra thing. It's a modern development for modern people. Definitely, I'm not against that. But what I'm saying is, as a practicing Buddhist, I feel we can have the best of both worlds. As I'm saying, we got to give whatever people need. They're able to do it. You give it to them. Those people who need it for your daily life, it's fine too. So I think that way is a win-win situation. Right? And then this will happen. This will happen. Okay. Other questions? You can ask general questions also. If you are new, please ask general questions also.
What advice would you give somebody who says that he cannot meditate?
Okay, then I'll say, why can't you meditate? I want you to hear the reasons why I can't meditate. Then you will say, oh, I got a lot of thoughts, or I got a lot of anger, or I just lost someone dear. So you got to find out the conditions and deal with those conditions. So that's what we do. The word meditation therapy, that's what it means. I use the word meditation and the word meditation therapy. Meditation means you come to the center, sit down, you can meditate. Normally beginners meditation is like that. If they say I can't meditate, then I say come for meditation therapy. Okay? In other words, first you talk to this person, we do the counseling process first. Buddhist counseling. Now Buddhist counseling, unlike clinical counseling, so far I only need one session, about 1 hour to at the longest 1.5 hours. 1 hour 15 minutes usually. By that time, I follow the 4 Noble Truths routine. Number 1, identify the problem by listening. Number 2, identify the conditions, causes, right? So the person gone talking and then we look at the alternatives of all those conditions. Sorry, the alternatives is the third one actually. Second one, all the conditions. Which one is the key one? And the third, the solution. And then the last one is the contract. Yeah? So that's when it's what should be done. So normally by 45 minutes time, we roughly know what's troubling this person. And usually I will on the spot give some very simple meditation, especially suit this person. And after that, you see the person smiling, and then you know, problem solved, or at least it works. You know? At first they calm their face, dragging the chin across the floor, very sad, you know. And then at the end of it, they're smiling, and that's good enough. You know it's doing well. The next thing we tell them, keep up your meditation. But suppose that there are reasons, there are no particular reasons the person can meditate, then I would say, what sort of activity brings you peace and happiness? Maybe this person will say, oh, I like planting. When I plant, when I'm pruning the plant, I feel very happy. Then I will say, okay, I want you to sit very peacefully, quietly now. Imagine you're pruning the plant. And someone did it, you're smiling, very happy. So you start somewhere. That's your window into stillness. Remember I told you about happiness, smiling inside your heart, loving kindness. Loving kindness is very easy to do. Start something as simple as, may you all be well and happy. Before you go to bed, just send out your thoughts to your loved ones, 2-3 lines. That's good enough as a start. So in that sense, there is no such thing as people cannot meditate. My definition of meditation is very broad. Okay? In other words, loving kindness and breath meditation for the sake of mental health. If you have gone through some difficult experiences in meditation, remember there are many kinds of meditation. There are many teachers. If one teacher doesn't work for you, one method doesn't work for you, look for others and many others. But always look within yourself, am I at peace with myself? The key question to ask, am I happy with this meditation? If not, then talk to a teacher, why, or go to another meditation. I don't advise you doing certain meditation where absorb the suffering of other people. There's one case I dealt with. This person had a breakdown. They tried doing that, So don't do those exotic meditation. I recommend breath, loving kindness. Begin there. Very simple. Don't sit too long. There are some systems that tell the beginners moment they start sit for 1 hour. Wow, that is, I don't recommend that at all. That's where the breakdowns occur. So just do something short, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even good enough. For children, visualization. Right, you got the 4 elements meditation, earth, water, fire, wind. So the children tell them, choose which element do you like? Earth, water, fire, wind. Oh, they love that. So, oh, I like fire. Okay, imagine you're fire. Fire is burning away all your anger, burning away all your hatred. And that helps them a lot. Or if you're not confident, you say, okay, imagine your earth. You see, earth is solid, stable. People step on it, people dig it, and the earth is not troubled. And the child reflects. That is meditation too. Right? So a broad definition of meditation. In fact, when you have a problem, you can't solve it, you focus your mind, you think about it, the process of meditation is taking place also. Except that it's more utilitarian, it's directed towards problem solving. Okay? So there are many aspects of meditation. Okay, any other question?
Yeah, I want to check. This is my own experience. Sometimes when I sleep, my mind is still very working, wandering. So what I do is, I lie down on the bed, I will just keep chanting Samatha, and then after a while, I just fall asleep. Is this a meditation like this?
No, that's the practice. Mindfulness practice. I do the same thing. I use Samatha because it's the simplest mantra, very popular. In fact, I do it so regularly now, I don't have to chant it. I just close my eyes, I can hear, pre-recorded. I wake up middle of the night, I can hear it.
I don't chant tomorrow, I chant tomorrow.
Yeah. Now, I would recommend that if you don't know what to choose, it's a very simple mantra. This is a very simple way of chanting. Why? Imagine if you're angry and then you hear Namo Tassa, We say the incongruent. But Namo Tassa is holy, and it's, I better don't get angry, something like that. So this is a very good, simple...
It's more like calming my mind.
Yes. And moreover, especially when you're sleeping, the idea of listening to this chant pushes away the nightmares, negative thoughts. Okay? Of course, you can choose other itipiso also if you like. Don't take it too long, it's just a short verse.
Well, sometimes I chant until I forgot already fall asleep.
Yeah. So whatever helps you to get peace in yourself, use it. Okay? Another question? Yes.
Am I right to say what you're saying is that if let's say you're practicing for your daily life and you're not going for does it mean that do I need to go deeper to look into the Dharma, to study it? Can I just do meditation as it is, to calm the mind, to concentrate? Is knowledge needed?
If,
one day person.
you need guidance in meditation. If you have a teacher to guide, it's just like learning to drive, you know. People like to ask the question, is meditation dangerous or not? You know, it's one of those popular questions. My favorite answer is, in terms of danger, driving is more dangerous. You know, because driving on the roadside is dangerous. Meditation, the worst thing, you might fall asleep, you know. Unless you are under medication and you have one of those problems like schizophrenia, you won't be able to meditate. You're not advised to meditate. I've written one article on that. People should not meditate. However, if they're under medication, meditation helps them. And in the medical centers in the West, they're using meditation, especially loving kindness, like helping all this kind of recovering patient under medication. Medication and meditation. They go together. Okay? There was one case, you know, in our mining center. I always tell people, I said, look, if you're under medication, please tell me. If you are not under medication, you have some of these psychological problems, you're not recommended to meditate. Anyway, this person at the end of the class, he came up quietly to me and says, you know, I want to tell you something. I have schizophrenia. I thought I was surprised. I said, I said, but I'm under medication. I said, okay. I said, then how did you feel meditation today? He said, oh, I enjoyed it. I said, okay, good. But I said, you must continue your medication. You must not stop it. Then it's okay. And I also say, make sure you do not reduce your medication because of the meditation. You can't do that. You've got to see your doctor. Now, these are standard advice we tell these people. Okay, coming back. So if you're under guidance of someone teaching you meditation and you're doing it and you're feeling happy, that's fine, no problem. However, I can tell you one thing. If you have good meditation, you find studying the suttas very easy. You know, as I translate the suttas, some of these teachings are very deep. I asked a lot of people all over the place, they couldn't answer this. So I have to use my meditation, reflect on it. What did the Buddha mean by this? And then reflect on my experience. Oh yeah, okay, it's all connected now. So the meditation is the lens through which you see the Dharma more clearly. And from my personal experience, you don't even need Abhidhamma for that because the suttas are so clear and simple. It's like driving, you know, you learn driving, you have the traffic code, all those basic things, you learn all that now. You don't need an encyclopedia on the traffic signs. The traffic signs will tell you, okay, who started this symbol, and who changed this, what color, what year, you know. That's not Abhidhamma, they go to great details, you know. But you want extra information, that's fine. But you want the practice, suttas are enough. In other words, you can understand, you get the words, the vocabulary, the case studies are all there in the suttas. Okay, so the practice is more important than the theory. That's definitely true.
Okay, we shall have one last question, then we break for lunch. Any more questions? If not, shall we share merits?
Okay.
Sata Chalumata Deva Naga Mahindika Punyam Tam Anumoditva Shiram Rakantu Loka Sasanam Akasata Chalumata Deva Naga Mahindika Punyam Tam Anumoditva Shiram Rakantu Desanam Akasata Chalumata Deva Naga Punyantam Anumoditva Shiram Rakantu Tvam Sada